The Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who at Thanksgiving will get all the ham he wants. Welcome, Jacob.
And I will be stuffed as a pig.
Like a goldfish in her ham.
Exactly. Why, thank you. Let me introduce our co-host, a man who falls in love with the strangest women. Welcome to
You know, at this point. Anyway, yeah, tonight we're reviewing Studio Ghibli's Hayao Miyazaki's Ponyo, which is the first one of the Studio Ghibli films I got to see in a theater.
Yeah.
And one of only two I saw that where Disney was still the one distributing them. So yeah, we are reviewing that tonight. You ready to go ahead and jump into the spoiler-free section on this?
Yeah, let's do that.
Alrighty.
Certified fresh and spoiler free.
This is my second viewing of this film.
Okay.
I only got to see it once originally, and I was a little bit late.
A little bit late?
I was a little bit late.
Wait a minute. Drew dodging late?
Believe it or not, it was a last minute decision, and then I had to drive to the other side of Tyler from Lindale
Oh, okay.
at the time,
Gotcha.
and I was about, well, I didn't make it into the theater until Ponyo was running on top of the fish.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You were real late to this
I don't know
one.
how I was that late, to be honest, and why I didn't just. No, I know what it was. I was running a little bit late, and I assumed, and I wasn't really worried about it because I assumed, oh, it's gonna be 20 minutes worth of trailers and commercials. I got nothing to worry about. Apparently, there wasn't.
You were wrong, sir.
I was apparently wrong. So, yeah, technically, the first third of this film was my first viewing of it.
Wow.
It's actually a pretty nice, calm story.
Yes.
Kids can definitely watch it, no trouble there. And it's just kind of it's a magical. It's got kind of that Totoro kind of feel to it.
It does.
I don't think it quite gets there, but mostly because I'm not a big fan of the kids in this. They do a good enough job, but you can tell they are, especially with some of the lines when they're having to say the scientific names of ancient fish. They were being coached very much along the entire way. So the acting on the kids was not exactly perfect, but for the most part, it fits what the characters are doing.
Exactly.
So it's a good film. It's not my favorite.
Fair.
But it's a good one. What are your thoughts?
First time watching this film, granted, I had heard of it before, and I was like, okay, this is weird. This was 2010.
That's your part of it.
Yes. I should look at my notes, but I didn't
think it's in my trivia. Hang on.
No, hold on. 2008. Sorry.
2008. Yeah.
2008.
It wasn't long after Tales from Earthsea was released in Japan.
Yeah. So I had heard about this in 2009, 2010. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. Not my cup of tea. It looks a little odd. So then, obviously we started doing Ghibli month, and this is our fifth year.
We're on our fourth year.
Yeah, it's right.
We're coming up on our 5th anniversary in February.
That is true. So, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Drew graciously allowed me to borrow the Blu-ray, and it was fun. I was it was very much Studio Ghibli, Hayao Miyazaki, storytelling, dealing with kid characters, And it was just very enjoyable, and to dare to say the word cute. It was a very cute film, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So yeah.
All righty. You have anything else before we jump into the spoiler-filled section?
I have no words. Let's go.
All righty. The following is a spoiler-filled review for the film Ponyo. Listener discretion is advised. Gake no Ue no Ponyo, literally Ponyo on the cliff, was written and directed by Hayao Miyazaki, and the English script was by Melissa Matheson. I don't have to tell you how Miyazaki has done at this point, do I?
No.
It is loosely inspired by The Little Mermaid by Walt Disney.
I could tell.
And which makes it technically also loosely inspired on The Little Mermaid from Hans Christian Andersen.
Yes.
Technically.
Technically.
Getting into the cast, Ponyo was played by Noah Cyrus, aka Miley Cyrus's little sister.
Miley Cyrus?
Miley Cyrus.
Miley Cyrus. Okay.
And she had many cameo appearances in Hannah Montana.
Yes, she did.
Sosuke was played by Frankie Jonas, aka the youngest Jonas brother.
Yeah, fourth Jonas brother, apparently.
The one that wasn't in the band.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Although he is in the show, apparently.
Don't give me a lion.
I didn't watch it either. I just remembered seeing that on there. But his biggest role looked to be Junior in the movie The Reef 2 High Tide, which I've never seen either one.
It sounds like a Disney.
It's not. It's a straight to DVD thing.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Never mind.
It looks like a knockoff of Finding Nemo.
Oh. Okay. Oh yeah. I heard about this one. Yeah.
So this was the sequel that came out long before Finding Dory did.
Gotcha.
So Lisa, yes, her name is Lisa, although in Japan it would have probably been pronounced more as Risa.
Risa?
Yeah. It was played by Tina Fey.
Yeah.
And she was Roxanne Ritchie in Megamind.
Sure.
Koichi, that's the father, Sosuke's father, was played by Matt Damon. And the United States has spent a lot of money saving him because he keeps getting into situations.
Yeah. One way or another. But he also played Carol Shelby in Ford versus Ferrari. Oh my gosh. I love that film.
And
so
the more that movie gets praised, the better.
Yeah, exactly. Go watch it. It's a good movie.
Now, if I said the name Grand Mamare, would you know who I'm talking about?
Grand Mamare?
I don't think they actually said this character's name in the movie, at least in the version we watched.
When you said it, I heard Grand Moff talking. That's what I heard.
No,
I know that's what you meant, but automatically that's where my head went.
This is Ponyo's mother, aka the giant sea goddess.
Oh, okay. Yeah. They call her like the sea goddess. That's all.
The goddess of mercy.
Goddess of mercy.
Point.
Yeah, the goddess of mercy. Yeah. It's like, okay.
Well, she was played by Kate Blanchett.
Kate Blanchett.
Yes.
Okay.
Who was Galadriel in Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
And I may have had a crush on Kate Blanchett for a while. Anyway.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Fujimoto, aka Ponyo's father.
Yes.
Apparently. I don't want to know how this works. Was played by Liam Neeson.
Yes.
And he played Brian Mills in the film Taken.
And?
Well, Qui-Gon Jinn, of course, in Star Wars.
Batman Begins.
Oh yeah, he was in Batman Begins.
Ra's al Ghul.
I'm sorry, I haven't seen Batman Begins in a long time. I
Aslan.
forgot he was Ra's al Ghul.
Yes, he played Aslan, the Chronicles of Narnia.
He played God. Let's move on.
Well, he played Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah, he played Jesus.
Technically, Aslan is supposed to be Jesus.
Yeah, he's
and
an
if you
allegory.
don't believe me, actually read the end of Voyage of the Dawn Treader, where he goes from being a lion to a lamb at the very end.
Yeah.
Gee, the Christian imagery is not painfully obvious in this franchise.
It's painted so thick, it's not you can't even get it off.
Right.
Enough.
Yeah, Toki, the angry old woman.
Oh yeah, the skeptic. Yeah,
I had to double check all these, make sure I was saying the right name.
Yes.
Was played by Lily Tomlin, who played Aunt May in Into the Spider-Verse film.
Oh, okay.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Yoshi, the kinder old woman.
Yeah.
Was played by Betty White.
Yes, Betty Miller. Betty Miller?
Not Barney Miller. Moving on. Not Bette Midler. That's who you
That's
tried to
something
say,
of
but
Bette
that's
Midler.
entirely different.
I know that.
It's not even connected.
No, it's not.
Anyway, she was Rose Nyland in the Golden Girls television show.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kaio, who was the one you probably don't remember because she was there, and she was kind of nice with Yoshi and all that, but she's kind of just the other one.
Yeah.
She was played by Cloris Leachman.
Hit it.
Who in Young Frankenstein played Frau Blucher. Yes, the joke is continued. And that brings me to Kingdom Hearts connections. Care to take a guess how many?
Let's see this movie.
And don't forget that since this is an anime, I must remind you that I include the Japanese voice cast as well.
All right. So this was 1990, or no, correction, 2008.
2008. Not that I know how the year helps you.
No, but like just gonna no, but it's more I'd probably go with 6.
You are so close, it's not even funny.
Am I up or down?
If we were only counting the English cast, you would have it right on the ball.
Wow.
But because of the Japanese, you need to go up.
Okay. 7.
Yes.
Okay.
So D. Bradley Baker.
Yeah. D. Bradley Cooper
was additional voices in this. And he is Waka in Kingdom Hearts.
Waka Waka.
The one that told us officially that you pronounce Titus's name Titus for the first time. And I still say that's wrong. Jess Harnell, Wacko Warner, as we most well know him.
Hello, nurse.
He was additional voices in this and played Dr. Finkelstein, Locke, and additional voices in Kingdom Hearts. Courtney Draper was the young mother in this. I'm not sure which young mother. I don't know if it's the one with the baby halfway through the film.
Yeah.
I think it is. And she was additional voices in Kingdom Hearts. Crispin Freeman was additional voices here.
Okay.
And he played Setzer Garbani and Will Turner in Kingdom Hearts. Madison Davenport played a schoolgirl in Ponyo and a nameless star in Kingdom Hearts.
A nameless star.
Yeah, that's the one that confused me. As much as I've played Kingdom Hearts, and I know this is a Kingdom Hearts 3 thing, I have no idea what nameless star means. So that's one I'm going to have to look up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it threw me.
Stumped on something Kingdom Hearts connected.
I'm just saying it threw me.
Okay.
And then Carlos Alazarqui, I probably said that name wrong, was additional voices in this and was Mike Wazowski in Kingdom Hearts.
Mike Wazowski.
Lastly, in the Japanese dub of Ponyo in Kingdom Hearts, we have Tomi Katoka, who was additional voices in this and played Kanga and Shinzi in Kingdom Hearts.
Who's Shinzi?
The hyena that was played by Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh, that's right. When I said the name, I almost want to say Shinji from like the next season we're actually reviewing.
That's not till December.
Yeah. Getting the robot, Shinji.
Yeah. But that's what I've got for Kingdom Hearts connections. What do we have in info and stuff?
All right, so info and stuff. IMDb, it has a 7.6 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes is a 95%. You can watch it on Max. Produced by Studio Ghibli, of course. Distributed originally by Toho in Japan. Here in the United States, originally it was for Walt Disney Studios and then was relicensed to G Kids here in the United States. Its release date in Japan was July 19th, 2008. And in here in the United States and abroad was released August 14th, 2009. Runtime has an hour and 45 minutes. So box office starting.
It's a very quick hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's very it just pops along. So box office. The film was released by Toho on obviously the same date in theaters around Japan on 481 screens, a record for a domestic film. Let's see. It had beat out Pokemon. I'm gonna butcher this name.
Let me see.
Looks like Giratina and the Sky Warrior, which had opened the same day. It grossed 10 billion yen, or not $91 million in its first months under release, and its total of 15 billion yen, or $153.1 million in United States money as of November 9th, 2008. It had an estimated budget of $34 million. Its opening weekend for the United States and Canada had 3.5 million on August 16th, 2009. Its gross for US and Canada was $15.7 million, and overall international gross would $204.9 million. Home release. It was released on DVD and Blu-ray, as well as a DVD plush toy pack on March 2nd, 2010. I don't believe there is going to be a sequel to this.
There isn't. However, this was the first one where one was considered.
Okay.
But we'll get into that in a minute.
Yeah.
All right. Getting into the summary. Fujimoto, a once human wizard, lives underwater with his daughter Brunhilde and her numerous smaller sisters. While she and her siblings are on an outing with their father in his four-flippered submarine, Brunhilde sneaks off and floats away on the back of a jellyfish. After an encounter with a fishing trawler, she becomes trapped in a glass jar and drifts to the shore of a small fishing town where she is rescued by a 5-year-old boy named Sosuke. While shattering the jar with a rock, Sosuke cuts his finger. Brunhilde licks his blood, healing the wound almost instantly. Sosuke names her Ponyo and promises to protect her. Meanwhile, a distraught Fujimoto searches frantically for his lost daughter, whom he believes to have been kidnapped. He calls his wave spirits to recover her, leaving Sosuke heartbroken and confused by what happened. Ponyo refuses to let her father call her by her birth name, declaring her desire to be a human named Ponyo. She magically begins changing into a human, a power granted to her by Sosuke's human blood that she licked. Fujimoto forces her back into her true form and leaves to summon Ponyo's mother, Grandmamare. Meanwhile, Ponyo, with the help of her sisters, breaks away from the father and inadvertently uses his magic to make herself human. The huge amount of magic that she releases into the ocean causes an imbalance in nature, resulting in a tsunami. Ponyo goes back to Sosuke, who is amazed and overjoyed to see her. His mother, Lisa, allows her to stay at their house. Lisa leaves after the tsunami subsides to check up on the residents of the nursing home where she works, promising Sosuke that she will return home as soon as possible. Grandmamare arrives at Fujimoto's submarine. Sosuke's father, Koichi, sees her traveling and recognizes her as the goddess of mercy. Fujimoto notices the moon appears to be falling out of its orbit and satellites are falling like shooting stars, symptoms of the dangerous imbalance of nature that now exists. Grandmamare declares that if Sosuke can pass the test, Ponyo can live as a human and the balance of nature will be restored. Fujimoto, still worried, reminds her that if Sosuke fails the test, Ponyo will turn into sea foam. The next day, Sosuke and Ponyo find that most of the land around the house has been covered by the ocean. Since it is impossible for Lisa to come home, the two decide to find her. With Ponyo's magic, they make Sosuke's pop-pop boat bigger to traverse the waters, seeing marine life from the late Devonian period and more people on boats. When they reach the forest, however, Ponyo tires and falls asleep. When the boat slowly reverts back to its original size, Sosuke drags Ponyo to the shore where he finds Lisa's abandoned car. As they continue walking, Ponyo mysteriously reverts to her fish form. Meanwhile, Lisa and the residents of the nursing home are temporarily able to breathe water because of Grandmamare. Ponyo and Sosuke encounter Fujimoto, who warns the boy on the imbalance of nature and begs him to return Ponyo to him. Despite their attempt to flee, they are captured and Fujimoto takes them down to the protected nursing home. Sosuke reunites with Lisa and meets Grandmamare, with whom Lisa has just had a long private conversation. Grandmamare asks him if he can love Ponyo whether she is a fish or human. Sosuke confirms that he does. She then tells her daughter that if she chooses to become human once and for all, she will have to give up her magical powers. Ponyo agrees and is encased in a bubble given to Sosuke, who is instructed to kiss it to complete Ponyo's transformation. As the balance of nature is restored, the previously stranded ships head back to port. Fujimoto respects his daughter's choice, having decided he can trust Sosuke. Ponyo then joyfully jumps high in the air and kisses Sosuke, completing her transformation into a human. Getting into the trivia for this one. This is the first animated feature film since Princess Mononoke in 1997 to be created and painted on traditional animation cells.
Really?
Yeah, there is no computer involved in this until compositing.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
And yeah, Princess Mononoke was the last one, period, before this, because everything else in the world had switched to digital by that time. The opening 12 seconds involving vast schools of fish and undersea creatures required 1,613 pages of conceptual sketches to develop.
I'm not surprised.
Right. Toki, the bitter old lady in the rest home, is an affectionate homage to Miyazaki's mother, as was the mother in My Neighbor Totoro.
That makes sense.
Hayao Miyazaki drew most of the sea and wave imagery himself, experimenting with making it expressionistic as possible. John Lasseter had said that he had never seen water animated so beautifully before. Sosuke is based on Hayao Miyazaki's son Goro Miyazaki when he was 5 years old. Hayao Miyazaki stated at the 2009 San Diego Comic-Con that he was inspired to create the film after watching Disney's animated adaptation of The Little Mermaid in 1989.
That makes sense.
The design of the ocean waves during the typhoon caused by Ponyo were inspired by the waves in the famous woodblock print, The Wave of Kanagawa, by Japanese artist Hokusai. And I probably said those names wrong. My apologies. When Lisa sings I'm Happy as Can Be, in the Japanese version, it is to the tune of the My Neighbor Totoro theme song.
Oh, okay.
You can't hardly hear it in the English version.
No, you can't.
In the Japanese version, that is how she sings that.
I gotcha.
Hayao Miyazaki was surprised by the lukewarm reaction of children to his film in test screenings.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That is interesting.
The image of Grandma Mare floating through the water on her back was inspired by John Everett Malalas's painting of Ophelia from Shakespeare's Hamlet.
Okay, cool.
When Ponyo offers food to a baby, this scene shows audience members that Ponyo can be selfless and live in the human world. Hayao Miyazaki developed this scene late in production when he was stuck on how to end the film. When Sosuke goes to school, you can see the mother and baby when Ponyo offers tea and sandwiches later in the movie. Their first appearance is when the teacher tells the mother not to worry about her baby's cold.
That's right.
Lastly, after Ponyo becomes human, she first creates giant tsunami waves and runs on them all the time as part of her magic. However, when Ponyo makes Sosuke's boat bigger, she runs outside with Sosuke to put the boat in the water. When she first runs outside, you can see her walking a few feet out of the house onto the water, but after taking a few steps out, she then sinks into the water. This shows that Ponyo's magic is weakening later in the movie. And that's what I've got on for trivia.
Okay.
So what is your first like for this film?
Let's see. My first like would be just the brilliant imagination. This has all the hallmarks of a Miyazaki film. It has me like you think of My Neighbor Totoro, I think of Princess Mononoke, and then you kind of condense that down into just how cute can you make something, and it's just that it's a Ponyo, and because be like down from character design to world building, it is very lively. It's very not to use the pun of the word bubbly, but it is the
use it. It fits.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Never apologize for your puns.
But like it is a very deep, rich world of color and vibrancy that gives you all this amazing like visual candy to look at, and it doesn't disappoint in your visuals, doesn't disappoint in the imagination of the world. And I'd be like, it's one of those films. It's like, okay, now I'm stuck. Where's this movie going? Because it is so freaking beautiful.
Yeah.
Breathtaking to look at. So yeah, brilliant imagination.
My first like for this film is the absolutely beautiful hand-drawn animation seen throughout the entire film.
Yes.
Every single frame of this being hand-drawn animation at a time when hand-drawn animation had become a lost art for the most part. Because like we said, the previous one that had hand-drawn animation was in 1997
Yeah.
with Princess Mononoke. Happens to be the same studio, but that's more coincidence and probably Miyazaki's hard-headedness at the time.
Yeah.
For that reasoning. But it is so beautiful and how they handled this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Every single frame of this, there's so much detail in every single image. Now, yes, there is watercoloring used in the background.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of this, that is beautiful.
It looks more like crayon.
It does kind of look more like crayon, but it has to have been done like a watercolor sort of a thing. That's the one thing I'm not sure about, is if the backgrounds were hand drawn or if they were digital.
I think they would have been digital.
They almost look like they would have been digital, but I also could see that being hand painted backgrounds. But I'm not gonna say, I'm not sure. I couldn't find information on whether the backgrounds were or not. But either way, some of the effects, like the Ponyo's transformation from fish to human, the 3 times we see it, her sisters turning into the giant fish for her to run on during the tsunami. Good night. The sequence of them trying to drive Lisa trying to drive that car back up the hill while the tsunami wave is crashing behind her.
Oh yeah, so good.
And you're going, that's all hand drawn. That is crazy. Now, granted, this is the kind of thing you look at, like, say, Porco Rosso, which is the closest I can think of to something like this. Maybe, the fight scenes in Princess Mononoke, where it would have been about like this. When you look at it and you're thinking, there's no way at that point you take that in as you almost took it for granted, because of course that's how they did it. But then you look at this and you go, how would they do that by hand? I mean, I get it. They're artists. They drew the whole thing. There had to have been some planning and trying to figure out all that stuff, but
of course,
it's just done so beautifully that I am surprised that no one's tried to go back and do like hand-drawn animation on the regular since then, with the exception of the video game Cuphead. But either way, this is such a beautifully animated film, and I love that it's hand-drawn.
Absolutely.
So, what's your second like?
Mine, I kind of touched on my first like, as I put in my quote. The cuteness factor is overloaded in this film. It has.
Would you say it's over 9,000?
Yeah, you're not kidding. So it's one of those where Miyazaki, like I said in my first like, be like, you take all the brilliance of Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli, and you condense it down into like a cuteness factor, and that's what this movie is. It has this charm of childlike innocence and childlike wonder, and you have these two very, very adorable children characters who are acting like children. They're not like adults who are trying to pretend they're kids, because they're actually voiced by kids. And I found that very appealing, to have like voice actors who sound like they're kids, because they are children. Because you have so often be like, you'll have like Tara Strong, who's being a voice for a character,
and she does
and
very well.
He does very well.
But the thing is, we all know her voice now.
Yeah, exactly. But then when you hear like an authentic, like a child's voice coming through a character, it's like, okay, it has authenticity. Authenticity. Yeah, it has an authenticity about it. And I really appreciate that when they do that. Because there can be like, you get an adult who's, trying to play a kid, and it's like, okay, that's good, but it doesn't quite sound like a kid. It sounds like an adult trying to sound like a kid, and it doesn't really work sometimes, unless you're Tara Strong. You just sound like a kid. You sound like a young girl or a young boy. But I enjoyed that aesthetic of it, and just the world itself. It has this very overwhelmingly childlike wonder to it. And how these two little 5-year-olds are navigating the world of this now flooded region, which is absolutely, it's like, okay, that's cool. Yeah, definitely in the little boat that, who's the what's the boy's name? Sosuke. Like Sosuke's a little boat, and it's done very well. and it's not trying to like there again, Miyazaki films, they don't have characters who really fall in love with each other. They have be like, oh, be like we kind of have the special connection, or we're best friends, or something like that. And in this movie, it's no exception. It's two characters who are friends and who care about each other, and they want to make sure their best interests are put in for the other. And I really enjoy that, where you have nowadays in modern movies that it is always, oh, I'm dating, I want to get married, I want to do something else. So rather than be like just a general friendship, or a general be like, hey, I actually care about you and I want to make sure that you are taken care for and provided for, is very heartwarming to see nowadays. And I just really enjoy this, be like the way they the general cuteness of this film. So, and it's heartwarming. It's heartwarming to see a movie like this. So yeah, cuteness factor overload. What's your number 2?
My number 2, and I think I kind of blew the wad with my number 1 in a way, but my second one actually is the design of Ponyo.
Okay.
But I have to say it though, because there's like multiple different versions of it. Because you got you got goldfish Ponyo, you've got amphibian Ponyo with the chicken legs.
Yeah. My gosh,
that thing
was
is
a
creepy.
nightmare.
That thing is creepy, but it took me a while to go. It's like, oh, she's a frog because she's amphibian, because she's half water, half human. Okay, I follow the logic here. And then of course her full human form, which she's in for most of the film.
Yes.
I like how at all points you recognize her.
Yes.
There's never a point in the film where you would see her in a different form and go, who is that supposed to be?
Yeah.
Now, granted, her sisters all look like her too.
Yeah.
Except they're smaller.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that you can make out Ponyo throughout the entire film. She's the acting, even with Miley Cyrus's little sister, is done very well, even though I swear that the acting is just a little bit off natural, if that makes sense. It's still kids, so yeah. But you can almost kind of tell she didn't want to be in the recording booth ever throughout this entire thing. I may be reading too much into that. I don't know.
I think you're reading too much into. Did you see did you watch the behind the scenes?
I didn't get a chance to watch the behind the scenes.
I actually did. Be like, I watched behind the mic because that's what they would do with these films. And it was literally the two young actors are sitting side by side doing the performance, and they're performing with their little dolls, for the playing with the dolls, and like you have the actor and the coaches are like helping them throughout the scenes the entire time. And so it'd be like they were having fun the entire time, being kids having fun.
Well, that's
recording something.
That's good. It's just to my ears, it did sound like their performances were a little off natural, for lack of a better term.
Okay, it didn't have the professional polish.
I wouldn't say that. It just it did not feel like a natural performance.
Okay,
it felt like I said, it felt like they were being coached the whole time, which it makes sense. They're kids.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is these kids were not. If they were playing, that makes a lot of sense. If that's how they were handling it, and getting them to say these specific lines, when at specific times, because I mean, you still have to match. I think maybe that's what threw me off, because the kids are not going to be matching lip flaps.
Yeah,
whereas all the adults would have, and I will admit that both Sosuke, while the editing is good on it, that would probably be like the one issue with their performance I had, especially with Ponyo, is that sometimes the actress's performance and the animation performance is different.
I got you.
I guess is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by off natural. It doesn't feel like a natural performance.
I got you.
So, but that I kind of went into that from dislikes, which is not my intention.
Fair.
But for the most part, yeah, I think I enjoy the look, and for the most part, the performance of the character of Ponyo.
Okay.
I am curious actually to watch the Japanese version to see if they had the same kind of issues with those characters, or if those are actually adults. I didn't look into that.
Okay.
So what's your third like?
My third like would actually go because I didn't touch on it before, and it's to be like because it's a Hayao Miyazaki film. It is a Studio Ghibli film, so the animation is going to be freaking gorgeous. But like obviously it's the Miyazaki style, it's the Ghibli style, and it's always well done. And they're going to be like before recording, I didn't know it was hand drawn.
Yeah,
be like I knew there was something different about it, but be like now understanding, be like it is hand drawn. Oh my gosh, it makes me more appreciate the animation even more, because like you took 3 years or less to do this.
Well, this is part of the reason why he didn't work on Tales from Earthsea,
because he was working on this.
He was working on this.
Okay,
and the film before this, which was Howl's.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. But
Howl's Moving Castle.
Yeah, wasn't one of those movies where Miyazaki was going to retire?
He had retired. Howl's Moving Castle was like the second time he had retired after the film, and then came back for Ponyo. And then said he was retiring after Ponyo. Yeah, we won't go there.
Yeah, I get it. But animation is movies like anything. It's just like if you touch anything Miyazaki or Ghibli, that matter. Be like, doesn't matter what kind of film it is. It could be Ocean Waves. It could be what was the one I didn't like so much?
Grave of the Fireflies.
Grave of the Fireflies. Be like, I think if I went back and rewatched it, I probably more. But I think I had too much emotion invested into it.
I think that a lot of that is there also because I don't think you weren't prepared.
No, I wasn't.
And for what? And granted, I wasn't prepared. I was going into expecting it to be about them having to survive. What it was like surviving after the atomic bomb.
Yeah,
didn't know it was the fire bombs, which was actually worse. But and I expected it to be more politically charged. So my shields was like, how bad are they going to say us stupid Americans are? And that's never even came up.
No, it didn't.
But we did have to deal with the fact that boy was a
little
too prideful.
Yeah, a little bit. But
either way, back to Ponyo.
Yeah, you don't want to make me angry.
I could go up and get another glass of water.
The animation is wonderful. The animation is great. The animation just be like, it's eye popping every time. I would have said probably 4 years ago starting this, because they're again the first Studio Ghibli film I ever saw. I believe I've said it was Princess Mononoke, I believe.
I think you said that was the only one you'd seen before that.
I think it was the only one I had seen before. I think I saw that after Akira. Yeah. So yeah, very diverse,
very diverse
anime as a kid or a young teenager. But overall, be like, I love the animation of this movie. It's wonderful.
I remember why you had seen Princess Mononoke, because I had an extra copy and gave the Disney one to you.
Yes,
that's what that was.
Yeah, and I think I had seen a little bit of on television at one point, and I was like, "What in the world is this?" And then I remember
one of my
like,
favorites.
Yeah. Overall, be like, animation in this movie is fantastic. It's well done, like any Miyazaki Studio Ghibli film is. Like I was saying before, be like any like the ones that we may not like, the animation is always very well done. Yeah. So yeah, animation is brilliant.
My third like for this is the performance of one Liam Neeson as Fujimoto.
Oh yeah.
Because you see this character, Liam Neeson's voice is not the one you expect to come out of it.
No,
but it's the only voice I can think of that makes sense for this character, to be honest. Because you see him as like, okay, you look like a carnival barker from the 20s, and yet you have a very particular set of skills. If you give my daughter back now. No, he does such a good job that I actually do believe that his character from beginning to end, where he's protective of maybe overprotective of his daughter.
Yeah.
At the beginning, to where he finally does say, okay, you proved yourself, 5-year-old boy. We may be hitting on one of my dislikes right there.
Yeah.
But it's like I can kind of believe that he trusts Sosuke and is literally more worried about his daughter's safety than anything else.
Yeah.
He does come across as being too protective at points, but it's all coming from a place of love for wanting to keep his daughter safe.
Yeah.
Granted, but we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, Liam Neeson's performance as Fujimoto is my third like for this film.
I agree.
What's your first dislike?
My first dislike. Let me get back to my notes. So you kind of pointed out a few minutes ago. It was the fact to be like this: the world is doomed if these two characters do not fall in love at 5 years old.
We're starting with my first dislike, I see.
Yes. So be like, I titled it Young Love, and it was like, wait a minute. These are two little 5-year-olds. Be like, they are just starting to learn things about the world.
Right. And now I'm not saying that kids couldn't fall in love with 5 and kind of grow up together and then get married. That happens.
I've heard of it before. Yeah.
But this is something I would expect like teenagers to actually have to deal with, not 5-year-olds.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I wouldn't even like correlate with
kindergartners.
Yeah, because they are kindergartners.
Yeah,
they're kindergarten 5-year-olds. So the idea would be like a child can say I love you, but their meaning is completely different to what we would say as an adult.
Yeah.
And the way that you love a parent, the way you would love a sibling or something like that. But just the idea that Sasuke has to pledge that he loves Ponyo, that he really means it, that he really does love her, and he really is going to take care of her at 5 years old. I'm like, okay. It's like, yeah, be like, you can have dedication at 5 years old. You can have like a love for somebody, but it's not this like deep romantic love. It's more be like, hey, I'm going to take care of my friend. I love my friend that way.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of like love you would have towards a friend. And because I think the way watching this, I'm like, I don't think this is the way these kids think at this moment, because they're kids. They think of love as something you care for somebody. And I think that's the way that it's portrayed.
No. It's not that specifically. They are using love. The kids in this film are using love as meaning I really, really like.
Yeah.
Like Ponyo loves Ham.
Yeah.
She's not in love with Ham.
She
doesn't want to marry Ham. She just loves the taste of ham.
Yeah. That makes more sense.
So she really, really likes it. That's that's the words.
That makes sense.
That's these kids' understanding of the word love.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sosuke probably loves his mother, and definitely you can see the love for his father.
Yeah.
With the as much as he's willing to he just finds it fun signaling his father at sea.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. That's like they're 5 years old.
Yeah.
Granted, optimistically, they don't technically have to fall in love, get married, and have children for Sosuke to actually complete his part of the bargain.
Yeah.
At no point would that force her to turn into foam. I'm assuming she's still in danger of turning into foam if Sosuke ever messes up on his promise. It doesn't say that, but honestly, why wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Even if she has, and of course, cause the world to fall back out of bounds, because it's all hinging on them staying in love.
Yeah.
Now, if it goes to, they could technically stay at friendship.
Yeah.
And they could just be good best friends for the rest of their lives and marry other people. And then those families be friends and all that would be good.
Yeah.
Technically, if you go by the bargain as presented, that is still that version of it is. And that's all the kids are going to know anyway.
Yeah.
That's all the kids are thinking anyway. The idea of falling in love, both even both Ponyo and Sosuke are too young to even think in this way.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Ponyo would be at the age if she had grown up that she at this time may have, or if she'd been watching Disney princess films, like Cinderella or Snow White, she might be dreaming of her handsome prince and thinks it's Sosuke. But Ponyo didn't grow up with that.
Yeah, and plus, kids at that age be like, they only think in one dimensional. Like as an adult, you think in second dimension and third dimensional. As a kid, as a child that young, be like, you don't think in like, you only think of the first dimension is like it's what's right there, what's in the surface.
Yeah,
and so that's what they're thinking. It's like, oh, I really like this person,
and they're having to make this decision at 5.
At 5 years old, that is huge.
How do you make that decision? Look, I am 30. I'll be turning 38 years old this year. I don't even know what it's like to say I'm going to love somebody for the rest of my life. Now, you do. You are getting married in 8 months.
Yes.
So you at least have a better understanding of it. And both of us are confused as to how she can make this decision. Either one of them can make this decision at 5 years old, much less why her mother, the goddess, is allowing this to happen. And is even the one who said, oh, this is how we'll fix everything. Granted, it gives her her freedom, but the reason that works in The Little Mermaid is because she's a teenager and is on the verge of becoming an adult. Ponyo is 5.
Agreed.
I'm sorry, at the age of 5, you're a kid.
Yeah.
And let's face it, if Francisco had been able to come on this film, because he was a tentative in the early stages of being a guest in this episode.
I didn't know that.
Timing didn't work out.
Fair.
I would be sitting here asking him why. I would not be surprised if his first dislike for this thing would be disobedient children, because both of these kids are disobedient.
They are
very disobedient.
You're welcome, Roy. But so that got me thinking for a moment. So I looked up Matthew 18:2, where it says, and calling to him a child, he put the child in the midst of them, said, truly I say to you, unless you turn and become become like children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Whoever humbles himself like this child is greater in the kingdom of heaven. So it's this idea of like, a childlike faith. We just kind of believe it's like, okay, cool. Be like, yeah, I'll do that. Not a problem. Because be like, you're just taking it on their word.
Yeah.
They're not thinking this. They're not thinking grand, it through. Like, grand scale. You're not thinking it second dimensionally. You're not thinking third dimensionally. You're not thinking with skepticism. You're just like, okay, sure, I'll do that. Not a problem. Yeah, I'll follow you. No problem.
And Grant, maybe that's what that works in this situation.
Yeah.
And Grant, it's us looking back and going, these kids are making a decision that will affect them for their entire lifetime
and the entire world
at the age of 5. Why are the adults allowing this to happen?
Yeah.
I think that's really what gets down to both of us.
Yeah.
Why are the adults allowing this to happen? All of the adults.
Yeah. All the adults are totally fine with it. And it's like, oh, because they're really in with each other.
The only one who was fighting this was Fujimoto.
Yeah.
And that's because he was afraid that Sosuke wasn't a good enough man for his daughter.
Yeah.
At the age of 5. Granted, faith of a child is probably is having the faith of a child, and wanting to spend the rest of your life with someone, is probably the definition of love. To follow that person, for the rest for all time.
Yeah, agreed.
And accepting them with no care of what the future looks like.
Yeah,
you just want to spend it with that person. If that's the message, great. But at the same time, it's very hard to look at it and go, why are all the people involved in the making of this decision, including grumpy grandma, whatever her name, Toki.
Yeah, Toki.
Who, until they get down to the back to the rest home, was like the voice of reason for a lot of this, even though she was kind of like the stick in the mud. She's perfectly fine with it once they get underwater. And I'm going, is nobody going to raise an objection that the world is going to be saved based on the decision of a 5-year-old boy to love a goldfish with the face of a human? Like we said, granted,
Mm-hmm.
the rule wasn't he had to marry her. They
Mm-hmm.
could just be friends for the rest of their lives, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, there again, but like if you look at
And
what
it may
the-
never have to go deeper than that.
yeah, because you look at the overarching theme of this is like not not basing everything on appearance.
Yeah.
And be like how
And yes,
Yeah.
if you get married, you should be marrying a friend.
yeah,
You
exactly.
should be friends first, lovers second,
Yeah, exactly.
in a way.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And maybe that's all it's needed here, and that's all he's trying to say. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'm still sitting here and going, every single person here is perfectly fine with the fate of the world being decided by a 5-year-old who's going to love another 5-year-old for the rest of their lives. Okay.
Yeah, bit weird.
Either way, what's your second dislike?
Yeah, because we basically just
I
slap into each other the first one.
pretty much.
So I decided to turn on the subtitles.
Okay.
And so
The Japanese subtitles?
no, like the English subtitles.
Well, yeah, but the English subtitles that would have been for the Japanese dub.
Yes.
Because there's the Japanese.
Yes.
There's because this Blu-ray did have the English, the closed captioning basically for the English version.
Yeah.
And then the English subtitles for the Japanese dub.
Okay.
So I'm assuming you must have hit the one for the English subtitles for the Japanese dub.
Possibly.
If it was different than what you saw in the
English, it was different. It was different because
I watched it with the English closed captioning.
Okay, so let me ask you this because this will help me with my slight confusion. It's not Sosuke, is it right?
Sosuke, yeah.
Yeah, Sosuke is the boy. Because anytime he mentioned his mother, he never called her mother. He called her by her name.
Yeah, he calls both of his parents by their names, not mom or dad, but Lisa and Koichi.
Which to me is like, okay, is there some kind of deeper like subtext here that maybe he's like adopted or something, so he doesn't call them by mom and dad?
I looked into it. There's nothing.
Okay, it was just
for whatever reason he doesn't call them by the Japanese equivalents of the mom and dad titles.
Yeah, which I just found weird because the point that I got when they discovered the abandoned car, I was like, oh, okay, something really happened. And the English dub, it's like mom, where are you? And then it's just like calling her name the entire time. I'm like, what in the world? Now, granted, this is coming from a Western perspective.
Yeah, we're only used to kids calling their parents their real names if that's just how they were introduced, and they because they were not born, they're adopted.
Yeah,
and and even then, a lot of times it goes mom or dad after a while.
Yeah. So my thought was like, okay, maybe like Sasuke be like, maybe his father married somebody else and this is like the stepmom. Maybe he calls her by her actual name. I don't know. But I was just so confused by that. But there again,
minor thing off of that, this is not my second dislike, the fact that she actually has an English name.
Yes.
Which threw me when I was watching it, because it's like, everyone else has a Japanese name. Why is your name in English?
Yes.
And because we never talk about her past. So, though granted, she does seem to act more like a Western woman, but a lot of that's also her being very angry at her husband, who has left her at home again with the kids instead of coming home. But anyway, my second dislike on this film: what motivation does Ponyo have to go to the land?
That is, I think it's more generally curiosity.
Curiosity, yes. And then she likes Sosuke because he was nice to her, and she drank all of his blood. So maybe there's some magic thing there that it's not gone into. But why does it? I get after it's like, okay, she wants to spend time with Sosuke instead of spending time with her dad because, it's someone else her age, basically.
Yeah,
I want to go spend time with the other kids my age, because we instead of having, all this stuff, all these other things. But there's still a part of me that goes, why? Granted, I'm not around kids a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So this could be just like, oh, it's the standard motivation any 5-year-old would have
Mm-hmm.
of just trying to be, hang out and play with other kids and all that,
Mm-hmm.
just with the power of the magic of the sea behind her.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of this is like, I don't know why you're trying to get away at the very beginning, other than just curiosity. It made sense when, I mean, it makes sense with Ariel because she's a teenager.
Yeah.
But she's 5 years old, and I'm fairly certain Fujimoto told her, stay in the boat.
Yeah.
Don't leave. And not only does she leave, she has the help of her sisters to help her get out.
Yeah.
And Fujimoto apparently does not realize that she's a runner or a swimmer, I guess I should say. So he has to keep a better eye on her than probably he would like, while he's still trying to do his work.
Yeah.
Trying to collect seawater magic or whatever it is he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
But doesn't apparently have a better track of keeping what I would assume would be known magical abilities of his daughters in check.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's kind of odd because he's kind of shown to be a mad scientist in a way, or a wizard, basically. So he is focused on his work and is still trying to keep an eye on his daughters. But when you're focused on your work, sometimes it's very easy.
Everything gets sidetracked,
including taking care of your kids, even though I guarantee you it's not intentional like that. You know what I mean? But there's still a part of me that goes, why is Ponyo so wanting to get to land originally?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my second dislike. Is like, I don't fully understand her motivation. Not getting out of the boat, I get.
Yeah.
That I can explain it with curiosity. Finding your way to a jellyfish and then swimming what I'm assuming is hundreds of miles to shore.
Right.
Because it's far enough away that they aren't having to deal with the pollution that's closer to shore.
Mm-hmm.
So she's able to go that far with a jellyfish, and I would assume she's a very brave girl. I'll give her that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I would have been brave enough to go that far away without getting scared and wanting to run back to my parents, as what I'm trying to get a hold of. So yeah, I think there's a little, it's too much of a just accept this and move on sort of thing.
Yeah.
But then I don't have kids, so
fair.
What's your third dislike?
My third dislike I titled Flooded World. The entire area in which, like, Sasuke and his mother live, be like, that entire region is completely flooded because
that's based on a real area, by the way.
Yeah.
Based on a real location. I didn't write down where it was.
But. Okay. But it's the fact that, like, this entire area is decimated because one little girl wanted to see her best friend and decided to flood the entire area.
She was trying to get to him. And he was running away as far as he could tell. She was playing tag.
Yeah.
Or she thought he was playing tag in a metal vehicle.
Yes. And then you have the point where Ponyo and Sasuke are be like, mom hasn't come back yet. And it's like, it's like, we got to go. I've got to go try to find her. And, the boat magic happens and the water is slowly coming in the house. He doesn't shut the door. And I keep thinking back in my head, shut the door, you stupid kid. You let the water in.
A, he's 5 years old.
I know.
B, kids actually have a little bit more freedom in Japan than we have over here because they're expected to walk to school by themselves, even at his age. So, I mean, they're far enough away he would have to take a car.
Yeah.
But if you live like within walking distance of it, or in Tokyo, I know the kids even take the train.
Yeah.
Around, even at that age. So, and granted, if you have an older sibling, I think the sibling usually walks with you for a good portion of that. Yeah. But still, or maybe the parent does for a while. I don't know. I just know generally kids have a lot more freedom than over there than we have over here.
Oh, okay.
And so it kind of, that part makes sense why I don't know, but I still have the same issue.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just more like okay, that's cool, it's interesting, but it was just more.
That's why,
it's a
that's why
nitpick.
Sosuke has that independent streak. I
Yeah.
still don't know why Ponyo does.
Yeah, I think Ponyo is just like a rebellious child to be like, no, I'm gonna go explore.
Well,
She's Ariel.
Well, she's 5-year-old Ariel. That's the
Yeah, she's
thing.
5-year-old Ariel. She's got the red hair and everything.
Yeah, she just
And she's a goldfish.
she just doesn't
and
have
a frog.
She just doesn't have Sebastian to hold her down.
Yeah, that's true.
My third dislike,
Mhm.
and if you want to talk minor nitpicks, this is it. Why do none of the adults not seem amazed that this, what is obviously a children's toy boat, has been enlarged to be a big enough size that 2 kids can ride in it?
Yeah.
They are even talking to him like, oh yeah, of course you're the captain, that's your ship. It's like almost like you've always had that ship. The guy who they help with, had the baby, that's the wife and baby.
Yeah.
He gives them a candle, and the kid says, oh, that's okay, Ponyo will enlarge it. And there's like no one acts surprised
at
by
all.
any of this. And it's like, did we end up in a nursery rhyme or something? This was the real world at the beginning of this film.
Yes.
And now it's like all adult reasoning has gone out the window.
Mhm.
What is going on?
Fair.
Granted, this may be okay. So I have this theory
Okay.
about the
A
world.
podcast theory.
No. This is a real world theory.
Oh, okay.
You know how we are 70% water,
Yeah.
and the moon has an effect on the tides?
Yes.
How does it not have an effect on us?
Well,
I think it does, because
it does.
we have both worked in the public sector.
Yeah.
We both
Full
know
moons?
how weird people are when when there's a full moon,
Yeah.
which is not something you can explain to people who've never experienced these people.
Yeah. When you
So
yeah.
my theory is, with this film, taking that other theory into account,
Yes.
that the reason these adults are all just accepting of a toy boat with a giant candle in it puttering around like obviously a toy boat would,
Yeah.
and why that's perfectly natural that this 5-year-old kid would be captaining his own boat and no one needs to go with them while they're searching for their mother,
Mm-hmm.
or his mother, must be because the full moon, the moon is about to fall in and everyone's going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs the farther closer it gets to Earth.
Yeah. That sounds about right. That's
That's the only excuse I have for that. But it's still weird. It's like nobody, because as soon as the world is flooded,
yeah.
everyone's like, oh yeah, of course, Sosuke, we knew you had a boat this whole time. He didn't have the boat till 5 minutes ago.
And also kind of bringing it down to reality, but like you have a sudden flood, be like everything's gone to chaos, and you have people who are just trying to survive, trying to do this, and it's like, oh, there's Sosuke. Not even thinking about like the rationality. It's like, oh, he's the captain of this boat. No problem.
That makes sense.
Because everything's gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
And they're looking, and he's looking for his mom. That also makes sense. And he's got this other real redheaded girl that none of us have ever seen before.
Yeah. No
one brings it up. And she's willing to give food to a little baby, that makes sense. And I did find that funny when she gives the mom the sandwiches for milk.
That was hilarious.
That was funny.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's like, I don't think I understood that at that age.
No.
But
yeah.
Anyway.
Yes.
There are that's what it comes down to. There's just a lot of lunatics in this film.
The adults are like, the kids are the rational ones in this movie.
Yes. Which makes me think, okay, we're in an 80s movie where the adults are stupid and the kids are brilliant.
Yeah.
All we're missing is Matthew McConaughey. Not Matthew McConaughey. What is his name? Ferris Bueller. Matthew Broderick.
Matthew Broderick.
All we're missing is Matthew Broderick hacking into it to a space satellite to shoot the moon back into orbit.
Well, I've heard of weirder, but okay.
That's so yeah. And I would be remiss, having brought Matthew Broderick up, if I did not say the following connected to this film. That's a lot of fish.
Oh my gosh, my rib. Ow. Too true. All right.
So we have reached the end of the review for this film. We need to rate this thing.
Yes.
What are you rating it?
I'm rating it a solid 8. It's a wonderful film. There again, you can nitpick the film to death, but overall, it's a great film. It's wonderful. It is just Miyazaki Ghibli all over it. It's got this, wonderful world and wonderful characters. And now, granted, the adults are kind of act stupid, and all the logic is like, oh, these kids know what to do, and they're 5 years old. But overall, I thoroughly enjoyed the mess out of this film, and I would highly recommend it. You?
I'm giving it a 7.5. It's not my favorite Miyazaki film, but this is a much quieter film that's not trying to say as much as some of the other stuff. It's a return to what Totoro was, which was had a simpler message with a simple way of conveying it. But Totoro, I think, is still better than this.
Fair.
It's a good film. It's just not my favorite. If you like Miyazaki, though, definitely give it a watch. It's a good film. I think there are better. I think Totoro's a better film, and that's kind of. And since I'd seen Totoro before I saw this, it does kind of put a little kink into how much I like this one. Much like how I saw. Well, no, technically I saw Nausicaa before I saw Mononoke.
Okay.
But I liked Mononoke better than I did Nausicaa, so maybe either way.
Gotcha.
So next week we are finishing Miyazaki month with The Secret World of Arrietty.
Yes.
Based on the same book that The Indian in the Cupboard was based on.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's a film called it's a book called The Borrowers is what they're both based on.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So we'll be reviewing that next week. In the meantime, we're going to go to the intermission. We're going to play. We're going to talk about what we've been watching, assuming Jacob has actually seen something.
I have.
Ah, okay, cool. And then we'll get into some news and some X-Men. The end of this series.
Thank the Lord.
Not that we've hated it.
No, just the last season.
It's been touch and go.
Yeah.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box. Whether you enjoy geeky reviews, comedy, or original fiction, you can open up the Culture Box and find something excellent for your soul. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
This week, we suggest checking out The Untold Podcast, which is a speculative fiction podcast using the genres of sci-fi, fantasy, and horror, among others, in order to engage the culture's imagination from a Christian worldview. Every month, Nathan James Norman produces and narrates a new story presented in a unique and dynamic way. Check out The Untold Podcast at untoldpodcast.com to listen to and leave them a review on Apple Podcasts, which I went ahead and brought up this time because for the first time since we joined the Culture Box Network, they have a new episode out.
Yay!
So yeah, go check out that new episode of theirs. The Cellcast would also like to thank the following patrons: Ashley and Francisco Ruiz, Book of Gaming, PaulJPowers.com, and Edwin Gonzalez. If you want to hear your names said on the show, get some art from Jacob, or listen to uncut episodes, you can donate to us on patreon.com. So, Jacob, I have a question for you.
What have you been watching?
I've actually been watching a lot for a change.
Oh, really?
Yes. Over the course of the week, just like kind of winding down, I was like, you know what? I need to watch something before I could just wind down and go to bed. So then I realized, I was like, oh yeah, a movie we've already reviewed. I think we reviewed it. Because there again, this was a movie I watched in my childhood, and I remember putting it on the list, and it was like, I know we reviewed this film. I had to go buy the box set to get the movie. And that movie would be He-Man and She-Ra, The Secret of the Sword.
We have reviewed that one. Boy, was that a trip.
Yeah, that was a trip. So yeah.
And we didn't do that in Bad Movie Month either.
Ow! Wow.
That was before Bad Movie
That
Month.
was.
I'm not saying it was a bad movie, but I
Yeah.
could see why it would end up in that section.
Yeah, I gotcha. But yeah, I started watching that on YouTube because it's all legal on YouTube right now.
Yeah.
So I started watching that, and be like, it's like, okay, stop here, go do something else. And then I know a movie that recently came out earlier this year, that you went and watched theaters, loved it to death. It's finally come to Netflix, and I decided to watch it this afternoon.
Is it one that, had I known you were going to watch, I would remind you of how the first one in the franchise had some might trigger some epilepsy? Is it that one?
Yes.
Okay.
Spider-Man
You watched version 5.
Version 5?
That's the thing, because that's the weird thing about. We'll talk about this in February when we actually do the full review.
Yeah.
Is that they released one version to theaters, then then because of some complaints about the sound mix, they released another version with the mix fixed, but they also were some other undocumented changes from the multiverse, we guess. And then there was a third one that came up when it went to home video, and then like the streaming version has another version.
Really?
So it's like there's we'll get more into it. I'm kind of going off of memory here, so I may have some of this wrong.
Right.
But yeah, it is literally a multiverse in this film.
Yeah.
Because we don't even know which version of the film is canon.
So yes, I was watching a Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Okay. I got to watch like the very first part. Miles wasn't even in the film yet. It was all about Gwen.
You were still in Spider-Gwen's part.
Yeah, Spider-Gwen's part. I think they were just about to go into Miles's world. And I was like, wow, this is really good. Be like just like the first one. It's done very well.
And you know why I couldn't speak about it?
Yeah. It's done so well.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I can't wait to get into this, and I can actually add it to my movie watch. So yeah, I was watching that, and so I have been watching Inuyasha also on Netflix, and I'm at season 3. I think on episode 17, I think.
Yeah.
And that's a series I remember watching on Toonami, I think it was Toonami or Adult Swim. One of those.
It was Adult Swim, I think.
Yeah.
But it may have also been on Toonami, because there was some of that they were showing like an edited version during the day, and then the uncut version at night.
Yeah.
They even did that with Dragon Ball, even though it still doesn't quite work. But either way.
But overall, be like, I remember watching that, and I was like, oh my gosh, the action's so cool. And I didn't realize it was more like a romantic comedy.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that until much later. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoy Inuyasha. So yeah, that's what I've been watching.
So yeah, I didn't.
All I got to say here is for Neko, Master Sesshomaru.
Sit boy.
How dare you?
Does Ashley know about that? I'm just curious. It's not for me to say.
No, she does not.
But does she know about it? She
does
question.
Not.
So
brother.
What I've been watching, of course, Spy Family.
Yes.
We are actually getting into some good story last week.
Yeah,
because it's been they've been doing what I call these half episodes, where it feels more like it's filler, except all of it's coming from the manga. So is it really filler? But either way, so yeah, I'm enjoying that. It looks like Yor is finally going to get to do some assassinating. So
change.
Granted, that's not been mostly her character arc so far. Is how she's dealing with her real job. But either way, so yeah, I've been watching that. After we finished Lower Decks, I was still feeling a Star Trek kick. And I decided, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to work my way through the entire franchise.
Okay.
but I at least went ahead and started where I thought a person should start I won't say marathon, but why can't I think of the word? When you watch a bunch of things back to back to back.
Marathon.
Not marathon, but it's a newer term.
Oh,
it came up from because of Netflix, where you'd watch the whole thing. Binge. Yeah, I'm kind of starting a Star Trek binge slowly, starting with the original series. So I watched the first 3 episodes this week. The Man Trap, Charlie X, and Where No Man Has Gone Before. And I am remembering why I love the show so much. This is good classic Star Trek. Granted, it's still campy at this point in time, but the stories are written so well. So yeah, I'm doing a slow binge through.
I got you.
Through the original series right now. To answer Neko's question, that would be The City on the Edge of Forever, which features Kirk and his girlfriend walking through Mayberry, even though it's supposed to be 1930s San Francisco. But anyway, so along with that, I started a new anime called Shangri-La Frontier, which has got to be the very best isekai I've ever watched.
Okay.
Because, well, granted, it's not Reborn Another World, but it's still very much guy playing in a video game.
Yeah.
Except the actors are like, the characters are like really how people like that actually are.
Okay.
He has a very knowledge of game mechanics, and that helps him.
Yeah.
But it's still hard for him to actually do everything. He's not overpowered.
Yeah.
Like every other isekai protagonist is.
Right.
And the amount of this thing has movie level animation in it.
Okay.
In a TV series. It looks way too good for what this is.
Okay.
It's a beautiful little anime. I'm enjoying it so far. And it's well written.
Okay.
So, which you can't say about a lot of isekai.
Fair.
So yeah, I'm watching through that. I think I'm all the way up through like where the English dub stopped.
Oh, okay.
So other than that, I've not really watched a whole lot else. So Jacob, what do we have in the news?
The Cellcast News with your host Jacob Heron.
Why, thank you, Dealit. And going into the news, so apparently less than 24 hours after social media went abuzz of unofficial news about Shrek 5 coming in 2025, as the broader entertainment industry celebrates the agreement to end the SAG strike. More sorry comments from DreamWorks Animation co-founder Jeffrey Katzenberg left a
his name is a 4-letter word on the show.
Yes, it is. Left a swampy taste. Swampy taste. That's what they use. Swampy taste in animation lovers' mouths, to quote Katzenberg. If you look at how media has been impacted in the last 10 years by the introduction of digital technology, what will happen in the next 10 years will be 10 years as great. Literally, he admitted. And I think AI as a creation tool, think of that as a new paintbrush or a new camera, has so much opportunity around it. Lobbing some numbers. The longtime Toon exec noted that in the good old days, animated movies required 500 plus artists to work over 5 years. He predicted in just a few years it won't take 10% of that, said Katzenberg. So yeah, he is kind of lobbying for AI in the next 10 years to generate animated for things, at least for DreamWorks.
So we haven't really had the AI discussion.
No, we haven't.
On this show.
No, we haven't.
I've talked about it a little bit with the Culture Box conversations back when those were going on.
Yes.
Sorry, weird noise just happened through me. So as a tool by an artist, I don't really have like for idea generation and things like that. And maybe even with compositing and such like that, I don't really have an issue with it. What my issue with AI would be is trying to do an entire production with AI.
Yeah.
Replacing the artist completely with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I have the issue.
Gotcha.
That's my thoughts on it. It's like AI should be a tool. It should not be a master.
Yeah, agree.
And I'm afraid that what I'm afraid of is the AI would be significantly cheaper enough that there would be some people tempted to do it and push it so much that it would literally be taking jobs away from people in the entertainment industry, which is what the strikes were worried about also.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on it?
AI, I'm the exact same way. Be like it should be used as a tool, not to replace people in the slightest. I think if you definitely as an artist myself, I look at AI. It's like if I was to use AI and I was like, okay, I have no idea how to do this. Is like, okay, find a generator and like, and it's like, okay, there's my inspiration for it, and use that as a basis.
Yeah,
not this rampant expansion of artists who just pump out AI art and try to sell it as original art. It's just like you're stealing people's art here. Remember, like, if they don't know that, they should.
Yeah,
because as most artists that I know are so anti AI art generation, it's not even funny. Because you are stealing the computer. The program is stealing from other artists to create what it's trying to do.
Now, I think we both agree that the AI should have their source information, how they build up all this stuff, should be sourced with not. It shouldn't be stealing stuff.
Yeah,
it needs to be stuff that the artist has already agreed. Yes, this can be a part of this database to learn it, and and that's how I think that should be done. It shouldn't just be go out there and steal like tons of JPEGs off a Google image search with this term and use that to generate your art from.
Yeah.
So
because I'm reminded of a story I read where this I think the voice actors who played Rogue paid this artist $500 to do a piece of her character, and turns out the person just AI'd it and got ripped off because that just like, really? It's like you rip somebody off because be like you're too lazy to actually do it yourself, or you don't have the talent to do it.
Granted, I will always be much more impressed when someone can do it without using like AI as even a source of a generation of of an image.
Yeah,
like you got to be understand. I am still amazed every single one of those pictures you send me for the album art for the show. But I would also be completely understand if you hit a dry spell where the inspiration was just not coming to you for an episode. You just went onto an AI generator, typed in, I don't know, X-Men and Ponyo or whatever, and generated an image that way, and then went and drew it. I would still be impressed, but understand why you might want to do that also. I don't want to completely throw the baby out with the bathwater is what I'm trying to say. There's legitimate use for AI, but I'm always worried someone's going to take it too far.
Agreed.
Anyway.
All right. So going back in the news, Pixar's summer 2024 most like wanted to go back in time, but we're not going back in time. Pixar's summer 2024 movie Inside Out 2, which I can see there's somewhere to go with this film, unlike a Toy Story 5.
Yeah.
We'll be introducing a new emotion perfectly suited for our world: anxiety. Disney has released a new trailer poster and still from the upcoming sequel. Directed by the first time feature helmed Kelsey Mann, a Pixar veteran who has worked on Monster University, A Good Dinosaur, Onward, and Lightyear, and was a storyboard artist for Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends and Bionic Titans. Mann said the new emotion inside Riley's head will stir things up with the new headquarters. Inside Out will arrive in theaters in early summer 2024.
So I watched the teaser trailer for it.
Yes.
I am not looking forward to anxiety, that being the emotion they showed.
Yes.
But I think the idea of how they're doing it is correct, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's going to annoy me the way it should annoy me.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Because ever since Riley at that point would be a teenager. So yeah.
Yeah. And there's like 4 other emotions they're talking about adding. I don't remember what they are right now.
Oh gosh.
But yeah.
Yeah. So this is referring to another project coming to Apple TV Plus, building on its riff of programming created in partnership with Wild Brain and Peanuts Worldwide. Apple TV Plus announced it is developing a new Peanuts animated feature film based on the iconic Charles. How do you pronounce his name?
Schultz.
Charles Schultz creation. Production is due to begin in 2024 with Wild Brain Studios. So going into a movie that you are probably looking forward to.
Just a touch, probably.
Crunchyroll has acquired the North American and select global theater rights for Spy Family Code White, the first feature film installment of the popular animated series. Delivers an original standalone story featuring special agent Twilight, his deadly assassin wife Yor, and their telepathic adopted daughter
Anya.
That's it, Anya. In a all new mission, Crunchyroll and Sony Pictures Entertainment will present the movie to North American theaters in 2024, available in Japanese and English subtitles and dubbed in English.
I actually don't know which version I want to see because I've watched both the English dub and the Japanese version.
Wow.
It's one of the few shows that's made me want to do that.
Wow.
Now,
okay.
I'm not really sure which one I prefer, although if it's using the current voice of Anya, maybe the Japanese in the English version, maybe the subtitled version. But yeah, I am looking forward to this because it is an original story for the movie. It's not based on a part of the manga, so it's going to be a side story thing, but it is being worked on by the original writers, creator of Spy Family. So apparently this could be fun either way.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we are actually looking at finding a way to review it.
Yeah.
Starting in January. Yeah. So keep an eye out for that.
Yes. So yeah, that's all I have for the news.
All righty. Then why don't we jump into the end of X-Men?
Previously on X-Men.
Meet the sulky, over-funky, kinda hulky superhero. A two-fisted and electrically transistored superhero. An exotically erotic and aquatic superhero. The Marvel superheroes have arrived.
Preview forgotten. Yeah.
Iceman and his amazing friends, Iceman and Firestar.
First episode of the evening.
Yes.
Descent, which first aired on September 6th, 1997. In this episode, we see how Mr. Sinister became Mr. Sinister, which is an interesting story. We'll get to it. Yeah. It was directed by Larry Houston and Fred Miller and written by Stephen Melching and David McDermott. There are only 2 actors listed for this entire episode.
I wonder why.
Cedric Smith, who is normally Professor Charles Xavier, in this plays Dr. James Xavier. Obviously, they're related.
Yes.
And Chris Britton plays Nathaniel Essex, aka Mr. Sinister. And of course, this is the only trivia I have for this is that this is the final appearance of Mr. Sinister in the show.
Are you sure?
In the animated series, yes. Technically, 97's a different series.
Okay, then.
So, what are your thoughts on this episode that looks like it stole all its backgrounds from the Great Mouse Detective?
Blah, 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 blah. Boring.
This is a weird.
It is a weird.
It's a weird episode, and yeah, it's like, okay, this is an interesting way to tell the story of this guy slowly turning into this mad scientist, basically, which is all Mr. Sinister is a mad scientist with mutant powers.
So I'll take it as
and the fact that he was married to what I'm assuming is Jean Grey's ancestor.
Yeah.
Explains why he's so fascinated with her part of the line. Still don't know why he's interested in the Summers.
Yeah.
But
so I kind of throw this to it's a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of story.
Kinda
blended with obviously Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, I was first watching this going, oh, I didn't realize that Mr. Sinister was Jack the Ripper. Wait, he isn't.
And also Dracula.
He's really more Dracula than anything else.
Yeah, exactly. It's got these blends of these very classic horror.
It's like Dr. Frankenstein and Dracula merged into one.
Yeah, exactly.
When I was watching this, I remember thinking, if this is how you're going to begin show the beginning of the story as to how the public learned about mutants and why there is this segregation, this deep-seated hatred, that's fine. At the same time, I don't care about anybody here, especially not a version of Charles Xavier that looks like he had a date with a Klingon. Because he's got head ridges like a Klingon. And he's got Wolverine's haircut.
Yeah. Oh my word. Just like design wise, it was like, it's okay. This is obviously supposed to be like in like Victoria, England or something like that.
Yeah.
And it'd be like, it's like, did they have sunglasses back in those days?
Oh no,
I don't think so, but it was more.
It's around. We know Darwin was around. Yeah. I have no idea when Darwin
Charles Darwin's in the episode.
Yeah.
And he says be like, you're mad, man. You're mad. Be like, it's all politics. And I'm like, it's like this is a interesting story, but it's so incredibly weird. Weird.
So I tried looking up for more trivia for this than that, and I would say that part was the hard one to find before I finally go, oh yeah, this is probably Mr. Sinister's last episode.
Yeah.
because there was no trivia on anywhere I looked.
And it just
for
cuts
this one.
off in the middle of nowhere.
And I'm still sitting here going, is this based on a specific comic story? I could have sworn from other research I'd done that the reason Mr. Sinister is the way part of the reason he is the way he is because Apocalypse had something to do with him. So because that should be connected, but then separate part of the multiverse. Fair, it can be whatever. But I'm sitting here when he first shows up on the screen, before they even tell us his name, that he's Nathaniel Essex.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there going, why is Doctor Strange here?
That's what he looked like.
It's like,
that's what I thought.
And I had perfect reason to think, oh yeah, there's probably, maybe this is a Doctor Strange Doctor Strange's ancestors, because we'd already met Professor Xavier's ancestor, painfully obviously.
Yeah.
I'll admit, it did take me a bit to realize, okay, yeah, that's the same voice actor who plays Charles. But I'm sitting there watching this and going, granted, it kind of makes sense why Doctor Strange or someone related to Doctor Strange would be there.
Yeah.
At the same time, why?
Fair.
Why? What does this have to do with the, and they go, it's Nathaniel Essex, and they go, oh, that's Mr. Sinister before he got the white skin. Okay. So when's Apocalypse showing up?
Yeah.
I could have sworn Apocalypse was connected to Essex.
Yes.
Because he's technically not a horseman, but he probably should have been the fifth horseman instead of.
Agreed.
Wait, the fifth horseman was not the one with the South America, the southern kid. Anyway, doesn't matter. That was a weird these are all weirdly made episodes.
So weird episodes. Let's get into Graduation Day.
Yeah, let's go ahead, because that is at least better written.
Kind of.
Yes.
Yeah, kind of. It's my prayer and my hope is that maybe they touch on it in 97 or just completely forget about it.
We will see. So yes. Graduation Day first aired September 20th, 2023, directed by Larry Houston and Fred Miller. In this episode, on the verge of Magneto's final stand against the humans, the X-Men request him to save a dying Professor X. What choice will he make? And because this is the last episode of X-Men the Animated Series, I get to go over everything. Cedric Smith is the voice of Professor Charles Xavier, aka Professor X. Norm Spencer is the voice of Scott Summers, aka Cyclops. Catherine Disher is the voice of Jean Grey, who has not spoken in like 2 seasons.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Also, this one, when I looked this up, it credited her also as Phoenix in this episode.
Well, no, because no, it was the last season, not the last season. She did talk.
She did talk in one episode. But for whatever reason, in this on IMDb, it credits her as not just Jean Grey, but Phoenix. And I'm thinking, Phoenix didn't show up in this.
No.
But whatever. Because admittedly, on this next one, I did actually change how she was credited. Lenore Zahn was the voice of Anna Marie, aka Rogue. Chris Potter was credited for the role of Remy LeBeau, aka Gambit.
Yeah.
But in reality, Tony Daniels in this episode voiced Remy LeBeau, aka Gambit.
Yeah.
Because for whatever reason, the actor was not available. But I've looked it up. He's supposed to be in 97 as Gambit.
Good.
So anyway, Cal Dodd is the voice of Logan, aka James Howlett, aka Wolverine.
Sneak.
Allison Court is the voice of Jubilation Lee, aka Jubilee. George Booza as Dr. Henry Hank McCoy, aka Beast. Allison Seeley Smith is the voice of Aurora Monroe, aka Storm. Lally Cadeau voiced Dr. Moira McTaggart. Barry Flatman as Henry Peter Gyrick. Peter Gyrick. Henry Peter Gyrick. It's a hard name to say.
Yes.
Catherine Gallant was the voice of Shiro Yoshida, aka Famine. Ron Rubin was the voice of Kevin Sidney, aka Morph. I did not know that was his real name.
What's his real name? Sorry.
Kevin Sidney is Morph's real name.
Kevin Sidney.
Sidney, yes.
Sydney.
And lastly, the Deus Ex Machina of this episode, Camilla Scott as Lalandra.
Oh my, you are not. kidding.
Trivia for this. As Trish Tibley reports on the events, the symbol on the news van behind her is that of J3 Communications, the broadcast company owned by J. Jonah Jameson in Spider-Man the Animated Series.
Right. Yeah.
Originally, a whole pantheon of Marvel superheroes were to make cameos in this episode to bid farewell to Professor X. However, this was cut down to just the X-Men because of time constraints and money, probably.
Yeah.
In the comics, Genosha's location has been depicted as far as off the southeastern African coast. However, according to the map Cyclops is consulting in this episode, Genosha is located in the Mediterranean Sea. In this episode, Henry Peter Gyrick has black hair instead of brown hair, and he no longer wears glasses. This episode actually was loosely based upon the Uncanny X-Men number 200 from 1986, in which a dying Xavier is saved by Lilandra, taking him to where he is fully healed but cannot return. So we can't blame this fully on a Deus Ex Machina. And finally, the last bit of trivia I have for X-Men the Animated Series is that this episode is the last episode.
Yes. Or was it? I thought the Sinister episode was the last one.
No, this was the last one.
Ah, never mind then.
The last 4 episodes were out of order, no matter how you look at them. And this one, and because in the original it was set up, it actually went Descent, then one of the ones from last week.
Yeah.
Then the other one, the first one of that OS2.
Yeah.
I don't remember what episodes we reviewed last week. and then Graduation Day.
Yeah, it was like Old Friends and
yeah.
Oh, I can't remember the other one because it was
Old Soldiers and
Old Soldiers. That's
and I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. It's been a week.
Yes, it has.
So yeah, last episode of X-Men the Animated Series, though not the last one we're reviewing.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on this? I was not expecting this to end on a sad note, because I will be honest with you, after having watched the last 5 seasons of this show, as Professor Xavier is, saying his goodbyes to each one of his X-Men, I was getting choked up, despite the fact I was wishing the animation was a lot better.
You're not kidding.
At least the audio in this one, unlike the last episode, was listenable.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
Anyway,
this episode was, I was cringing because there again, the animation throws me off beyond belief with this season. I understand, be like they tightened down the budget, they went somewhere else. I get it. The story itself is interesting, but it be like you get this really, really good buildup of, okay, Xavier's been outed as mutant, and now you have mutants versus humans, and you get this massive war is just about to start. And oh my gosh, like you have this amazing build up. You have, Charles Xavier is not going to do well. We don't know if he's going to make it or not. Okay, you're actually kind of getting choked up with this. And the part that got me was more when they go to Eric Lencher or Magneto.
Yeah.
And go to him.
Wait, I forgot something.
Yes, you did.
Did I not say? I did not say Magneto's name in there.
No, you did not.
Well, either way, get over here.
Push the button.
I am Magneto, master of magnet.
Admittedly, I had to reorder these to make it all make sense, and I may have skipped over him. Sorry, Magneto. Don't kill me. I don't have any metal in my body.
Really? You don't think
except for the iron in my blood, but
yeah,
it's not too much iron.
Have you seen X-Men 2 X2?
That's why I said it's not too much iron.
Okay. But that scene in particular where they go and track down Magneto, the whole enchilada trying to get to him, and they finally confront him with what's going on, and Magneto's be like, yes, my time has finally come. We can destroy the humans. And it's like, the X-Men persuade him to go and help his only friend. And I thought that was so touching because it was like, Eric has his moment is finally arrived, and he's like, I have to save my only beloved friend, and he does it. And I was like, wow, that scene hit me more than the sappy he's saying goodbye to the X-Men. I'm like, wait a minute, you're Charles Xavier. This is a cartoon. You are not going to die. And then it was like,
was the last episode. I mean, it wasn't the fact that he was going to die that got me. It was he's finally actually he's saying goddbye no matter what.
Yeah.
He's saying some good things. But there was a point when he got to Storm, and I was there going,
no,
and you've gotten over your claustrophobia. No, wait, no, you haven't.
Yeah. Why are you in a room then?
Anyway.
Why are you in a room with a full of people? That'll never get old. That'll never get old.
Wait,
claustrophobic much?
Wait till the next episode. We're reviewing. I've got a joke.
Oh, crow. Either or, be like, it was touching in a way that be like, you see that he's finally, like, not finally, be like, they don't betray Xavier as bad as he is in the comics or whatever. Because if you like deep down be like, oh my gosh, this guy was not a good dude.
No, he wasn't, and they really started going worse and worse with him as time went on. That's why I like the Xavier in this show and in the movies so much better.
Yeah, exactly.
Than the actual Xavier in the comics, where it's like, dude's a jerk.
Yeah. But like I find it touching, but at the same time, be like, I'm watching this animation, I'm like, oh gosh, can we go back to season 2? Animation was 3 and plot that down. It gets so much more impactful. And then you get the Lalandra's Deus Ex Machina kind of come in at the last minute because they need Magneto to boost Xavier's powers, which
both is weird.
It is.
This is something he can do with his powers, and yet it also makes sense.
Yeah,
in a way. Because I'm assuming it only works with psychics and telekinetics.
I guess
either way.
But it was like the way they explained it made sense. But overall, I enjoyed where Magneto has to choose. Does he choose what he desires to do, or do he choose what he needs to do?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping and praying what they do with X-Men 97, because obviously Magneto is in the show. Obviously,
yeah. He's one of the confirmed returning characters.
Yeah, he's one of the return characters. I did find it cheesy the way it ended.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, they're looking fondly as the Shi'ar ship goes off. Be like, oh, I'd be like, I may be leaving you, but I won't leave you in spirit. I'm like, okay, that's cheesy. It's good, but it's so cheesy.
Yeah,
but it's like it wasn't a great send off. I thought they could have done better. There again, the animation in this season is so poor it's not even funny.
Granted,
there are some little spots here and there, like the very beginning of season 5, it looks amazing, and then
it just gets worse and worse.
It just degrades and degrades and degrades and degrades, and it's just like, oh my gosh.
I hate to say it, but the season 4 finale was better.
Yeah,
than this.
Yes,
granted, this is more heartfelt, more touching.
Yeah.
But you're talking about ending like a show that kids, the most successful a generation of kids love. It went on for 4 to 5 seasons. Cartoons don't go that long normally.
No.
And yet, granted, you take a risk ending it on the sadder episode.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but I kind of wanted a nice fight.
Yeah, agreed. That's what I kept thinking.
And that's what was so good about the ending of season 4, the Beyond Good and Evil, I think was the name of the episode. The 4-part episode.
Yeah.
Where it's like every villain the X-Men has ever fought is teaming up together.
Yeah.
Including the one was only a villain for 2 episodes and then became was a good guy for most of the show.
Yeah.
Magneto.
But it's like I
he still wasn't a villain in that. He was actually like their inside mole on that episode.
Yeah, he was trying to resurrect his love or something like that.
It's just like
it's a far better conclusion. And
this last season has just been so like
Blah.
directionless.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really what it's felt like. Because, and granted, this is a good ending for the show. It's just not the ending I wanted. And a part of me does kind of hope that either A, they rectify some of this in X-Men 97 when they start that first season, or maybe they just drop this season from continuity.
Yeah.
One of the two. I'd take either one.
Okay.
Because honestly, if you dropped it, you're not losing much.
No, you're not.
The only episode that I thought was done, like the only memorable episode from this season in my mind is Old Soldiers, where we get Wolverine and Captain America fighting together, which is awesome. Keep that. Show me more of that, please. But the rest of this, you're not losing much.
Yeah.
By this falling out of continuity. Yeah. So, but this episode specifically, I enjoyed it for what it was. It was, even though it was very much it was a build up to nothing.
Yeah, agreed.
It felt like it was kind of leading to something and then just dropped it at the end. Granted, it's not, it's supposed to be a sad episode. Say we're saying goodbye to the show, basically. But at the same time, it's like, this is, I want to go out with a bang. I don't want to go out with a whimper. And this felt like I was going out with a whimper.
Yeah, agreed.
And not because it's a sad episode.
Yeah.
It's just, it's not even really done that well.
Yeah, agreed.
So, especially if you go to the trouble of bringing back Gyrick, who we haven't seen since season 2.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, like, I didn't realize it was Gyrick when we showed him.
No,
like,
they never say his, no, they do say his name at one point.
They do say it's Gyrick, but I was like, this doesn't even look like the same character. Anybody. Yeah.
It's like, you could have said this was Joe Schmo for all it mattered.
Yeah.
But
yeah, because it'll be like you have this great tension with the B plot, and the B plot is completely dropped.
Yeah, completely, because they're now like, we've got to save Magneto, we got to save Professor Xavier. And then now I will say I appreciate them bringing Morph back.
Yeah,
as much as Morph is not my favorite character, in this,
Morph, you're so funny.
He started the show with the group. It made sense for him to be there at the end.
Yeah,
even if it was just a cameo appearance.
Yeah, be like,
so
I enjoy it where Charles is like, giving credit where credit is due with all the characters, and be like, oh, you finally found a home. You're finally home. Be like, you discovered this. You discovered this. Yeah, and it was more the animation was more like when he dies. I'm like, everyone's like, oh, boo-hoo. Alondra's going to show up. She's going to show up.
At that point, it's like, yeah, it's going to be at the last minute. So it is still kind of a Deus Ex Machina, but he is still saying goodbye. But it's almost like we're pushing this death thing until the end, but because we're Saban and no one can die, they can only be destroyed. Alondra is going to show up in the last minute. Granted, this was in the book it's based on. Yeah. But it really feels like that was a last minute addition to make that connection. Because this is mostly an original story where he just gets hurt and is going to die if they can't save him.
Yeah.
So granted, I've not read X-Men 200, so there could be the whole thing with Magneto having to come in and boost his brain waves to somehow make that connection with Lilandra.
Yeah.
I don't know. But either way, that brings us to the end of our coverage of X-Men, the animated series. But next week, we are going to be looking at, mostly because we didn't want to jump into Evangelion for 2 episodes and then have a break for Thanksgiving. Come back. We decided, and we talked about doing Pride of the X-Men early in the beginning, but weren't sure where to put it.
Yeah.
I stuck it right here to finish out November because, let's face it, it's going to be fun watching Toei animated X-Men.
Yes. Agreed.
The question is this technically considered an anime? Because boy, does this look like Dragon Ball.
And in some ways, yes. Granted, it's been a hot minute since I've seen Pride of the X-Men.
Oh yes. I watched it today, and I swear I had seen it before.
Yeah,
because there's parts of this I remember, and I think I even had read I think I had the comic of this back in the day. I don't know what happened to it, but I think I did. So yeah, next week we are doing the original X-Men anime Pride of the X-Men. I have to say original because there was a more recent X-Men anime series that came out.
That's true.
With the Marvel anime series. But anyway, join us next week for that. Along with, of course, our final movie of Miyazaki and Ghibli month, The Secret World of Arrietty. In the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we'll catch you in the next frame.
You can follow Jacob on his Facebook at Jacob B. Heron. His Facebook page, Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where he tries to draw each and every day. His Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. His Twitter at Jacob Heron.
And his Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. You can find Drew on Facebook at Drew Dodgen.
His Facebook page, Drew's Photo Bin, to see his photography. His Letterboxd page at GGeorge759. His Twitter at GGeorge759. And Instagram at Drew Dodgen. You can like us on Facebook at the Cellcast Podcast. On Twitch at the Cellcast Gaming.
On YouTube at Cellcast.
On Twitter at cast_cell. The Cellcast can be found at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts are downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us, and also on Podchaser. Email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. The Cellcast is a proud member of both the Pop Americana and Culture Box media networks. For more information, please see the link in the description. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. And remember, that's Cell, with a single L.
I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. If you're looking for a ransom, I can tell you I don't have money, but what I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I have acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. If you let my daughter go, that'll be the end of it. I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you, and I will kill you.
Yikes!